next movie we're gonna move and we're gonna shift genres just a little bit. Next movie is called Love.com. And Love.com, it features Shelby Quinn is a social justice food warrior working to uplift her gentrifying community. Greg is a handsome, successful, and sought-after land developer helping his city to grow up. What seems to be like a happy accident meeting at the grocery store leads to a perfect opposites attract relationship that runs into issues, unfinished business, and different priorities. This movie stars Tobias Truvelon and Brave Williams, and it's directed by Charnice Fox. Let's run the trailer, and we'll talk about it.
These are tomatoes. They grow in a garden. Tomatoes are fruit. A lot of people think they're a vegetable. Cheaper to grow them than to buy them. This is Shelby. She knows this. She grows tomatoes and is vegan. She does yoga and owns a business with this guy. Shelby has a really cool family, but they eat bacon. She likes to make sauce, which is a pot of things that don't go together, but somehow work. Like some relationships, like meeting randomly in a grocery store, which is cliche. This is Greg, also eats bacon, but does yoga, loves movies, and his dad. These are his friends. He's into gentrification, urban development. Urban developers are like community gardens. They look cool. Shelby has a garden, Greg wears suits, Shelby wears this, but they do the same work. Shelby doesn't see it. That's a metaphor. Shelby just had a breakup, so did Greg. Greg likes Shelby. He cooked for her. He can't cook. Shelby's broken heart led her to an app, Love.com. Because of these two, she meets this guy. He switches YouTube. Greg is different. A social experiment? Maybe they're really the same. Semantics, what happens? It's a movie, and you should watch. And eat your vegetables. Boom.
So I saw Love.com. It started my buddy Tobias Truvelon, and I said, well, let me take a look at it. And it was a romantic comedy, and I wanted to see what we're doing on the independent field with romantic comedies. I thought the premise was good. I thought the acting was okay. I thought Tobias worked really hard to give a really great performance, but it felt like he was playing against empty chairs a lot of times. I think the storyline was disjointed. It didn't have a lot of cohesive connections between the characters and moving the story along. And I just, that's my take on it. I didn't really, I did not enjoy it. I think the director had some work to do in terms of being a better storyteller. So between a so-so script, a halfway decent director, and a mediocre cast, this is what I take away from Love.com.
All right. Love.com. Watched it the other night, and the first thing I want to say is this is a movie that I really wanted to like. Everything about the movie was something that pulls your attention because of the polar opposites. You got the vegan, earthy Erykah Badu type with the investment banker, real estate guy. You know, the whole opposite attracts kind of thing. But after that, the movie just, to me, fell very flat. And to be honest with you, it was very boring. All right. There was nothing about the movie that pulled you in. They didn't develop the characters. You really didn't care whether they got together or not. And in fact, a part of the movie that really was kind of, you know, I mean, I know it was written this way, was that, like, it seems as if he was feeling her, but she wasn't feeling him, which is fine. So because they didn't really develop any chemistry. So it was like, well, why do you care? And so they didn't develop anything. I didn't really feel like she was a vegan. I didn't really feel like the chemistry was just all off. And not to give any spoilers, the ending was the most flat, crazy, huh? Well, what happened type thing. And I almost felt like, did they run out of money? I mean, it didn't even have an ending. It just stopped. So I'm going to say that the movie it tried, but it just fell flat. Just boring and no chemistry.
So the biggest problem I had with it was apparently she had family members in the movie. I didn't know this.
We're going to get into that, Joe.
Yeah, I didn't know, like, she's supposed to have a brother and a sister that's in the movie as well. And I didn't know that until I started reading the credits. And I'm looking at the names and I said, well, they're supposed to be brothers and sisters, but I still don't know who those people are or were in the film.
Okay, so there's one scene where her entire family was in a room, and it was she called him dad. So the father was the guy who played Otis in the Temptations movie. And it seems like as if the mom was Kim Whitley and her sister was Lisa Ray from Players Club. Yeah. But I got all confused. Because at one point she said, I want grandkids. And I'm like, well, is that your mom? And then also not to hate on the young lady. She's a beautiful young lady who was the star. But she looked the same age as the father and Kim Whitley. They all look like they look like they like 45, 50 years old. You know what I'm saying? I know they was trying to make her young. So it just didn't make, sweetheart, I know
Kim Whitley's also a producer on this project.
Huh?
So Kim Whitley's also a producer on this project.
Okay, so that part didn't make, I didn't know who, I know because she called him, the person that looked like her younger brother, she called him daddy.
I just thought it was some old sexual reference shit.
It could have been. That's the thing. It didn't make, that scene made no sense. And then there's another scene when she said something about, I'm going to talk with auntie. And remember she was on the phone, she was like, I'm going to call my auntie. And she never talked with anybody.
Right.
I'm like, what? Huh?
So again, it's like, it's one of those things where you're just having a issue with the script, and the script just wasn't tight. And it might have been, but somewhere between the script and the directing, something got off the rails. And unfortunately, when you have really good actors in bad productions, and I won't call it a bad production,
no, but
when you have really good actors not living up to what they're capable of, it makes their performance come down. And I could see times when Tobias was trying to pull things out of the actors that he was working with, and he just couldn't do it because it wasn't there for him. And that has to be a little frustrating. It's frustrating for me as a viewer to watch it, to see one good performance and then come back on the volley and there's nothing coming back. So I get kind of like turned away from, I really didn't care about any of the characters.
Yes.
Didn't really, unlike the train wreck, which was the Fearless one.
Yeah.
I had to actually power through this.
Yes, and you know what's funny, Joe, is that the Fearless one, as bad technically as that movie was, they did develop the characters. They had a guy who was supposed to be a good guy who you said, okay. Then another guy was supposed to be a bad guy who you said, this, oh, I hope he loses. So they developed it to whereas this movie, I didn't give two hot squirts of whatever if they got together. I didn't care if he left her. I didn't care if she went off. It just was like, you know, character development is really important, and I didn't put the timer in. But I'm gonna say this. My thing is, I know that it takes a lot to make these movies, and you know, they spent money on this movie. My thing is for independent filmmakers. You don't have the luxury that 20th Century Fox has to make a bomb movie. When I mean by bomb, not bomb like as in bomb.com.
Right.
When you got this little bit of money and you get green lighted, why would you greenlight a mediocre film like this? Like this money, this is money that could have went to a really fantastic script. Why this movie, Joe? Why did this movie get greenlighted?
Well, the other problem with this is that, and this is my unsolicited advice to any filmmaker, this was an all women's written production. So it came from a female's point of view. And also, I don't think that the crew that put it together was strong enough filmmakers in terms of strong writers. They probably had strength in certain places, but writing and storytelling probably wasn't one of those. And what we don't do as independent filmmakers, because we think that something is going to take away from us, we don't reach out for help enough. And she should have had that script looked at a couple of times and developed before it was actually done. And maybe she wasn't the right person to direct this particular production.
All right, all right. Well, there you have it, guys. A movie that I think we both kind of really wanted to like and fell flat. So how many gorillas, Joe?
I give this film 2 gorillas.
I give it 1 gorilla.
Okay, well, there you have it.
And there you